Hi, everyone. This is Digvijay Gagneja over here. Um, I'm Chief Operating Officer at Leverage Edu. Welcome to another episode of Leverage TV. Today's topic is on Canada. It's about PG diplomas versus degrees in Canada, right? So, a very frequently asked questions by many of the aspirants who want to go and study abroad in Canada. So yeah, very happy to come back live here with you all and start discussing this specific topic. Yeah, just a little bit about Leverage Edu. We are India's most trusted university admission services company, and we help students get to their dream universities abroad. And we would be glad to help you with any of your questions that you may have with regards to studying in Canada. Today's topic is postgraduate diplomas versus masters. So yeah, let's dive right into it, right? So what is a diploma versus a degree, right? Why should you consider either of these? And it always boils down to what do you want out of your study abroad experience? So why do you want to go study abroad in Canada, right? Um, Broad categorization, what do diplomas mean versus what do degrees mean, right? So generally diplomas are offered by colleges, right? And degrees are offered by universities. Few universities also offer diplomas, but yeah, broad categorization is this, that degrees are offered by universities and diplomas are offered by colleges. But why the differentiation, right? Why not do everything in one place, right? So good. If you're thinking about it, good question, right? So typically, what happens is, diplomas are designed with keeping a very specialized field in mind that you want to go deeper in and become very specialized in, right? Versus degrees are broader academic programs and have broader offerings, right? So that would be like the real difference between what you get out of a degree versus what you get out of a diploma, right? So typically there are about 90 plus universities in Canada, and there are about 130 plus colleges in Canada, right? And that would tell you that the number of institutions offering diplomas are much higher than those of universities offering degrees in Canada. Um, but again, so we might get a little more clinical about it, right? That's, say, the broader objective. If learning is your objective, you need to understand that degree is more broader academic program and offers more broader academic programs, and whereas diplomas are really specialized courses that help you directly go into the workforce of that very specific course that you've done, right? But if you were to get really clinical and tactical about it, I think it has multiple other implications as well, right? So cost implications, duration implications, implications on your post-study work visa, or also implications on immigration, that if that is the primary motive of why you want to go study abroad, right? So all of those implications also tend to come in as you make the decision between wanting to go do a diploma versus a master's at any university or college in Canada, right? So let's get deeper into it, right? So there are multiple types of diplomas, right? So if you think about PG diplomas, you would hear a lot of these terms. There are graduate certificates, there are postgraduate certificates, there are PG diplomas, there are post-baccalaureate diplomas. So yeah, a lot of confusing terms out there, but yes, ultimately they all get categorized under the same bucket of the fact that you're doing a diploma, right? So don't let the terms confuse you. It's generally different universities using different terms, slight technical differences, and also slight differences in the number of years of education that you might have to go on, right? Similarly, UG diplomas are certifications, certificates, regular diplomas, advanced diplomas, certificate diplomas are generally 1 year, regular diploma is generally 2 years, and an advanced diploma is generally 3 years, right? So slight technical differences, but again, you should look at certificates or diplomas as basically categorized into the broad bucket of diploma programs, right? So yes, how is it different, right? Why should you do a diploma versus a master's? So you need to ask yourself the question: why do you want to go and study in Canada, right? And if immigration is your primary objective, right, that you want to migrate to Canada, see yourself living in Canada from a longer term perspective, then diplomas might be somewhere better for you than masters, right? So I'll tell you how, right? So typically broad differences. A diploma requires you to have minimum 50 to 55% marks in your class, in your undergraduate program, a PG diploma, right? And similarly, undergraduate diplomas also, you need to have typically 50 to 55% marks in your class 12th exams, right? Versus if you want to go and do a degree, you need to have at least 65% or more in your undergraduate or your class 12th exams for PG degrees and for bachelor degrees, respectively, right? So if you want to do your degree, PG degree right now, master's degree in Canada versus a PG diploma, you can only do a master's degree if you've bare minimum scored about more than 65% in your undergraduate programs, right? And otherwise, if you've scored above 50 to 55% in your undergraduate programs, then you can also, your options increase and you can go only for diplomas, right? So that is one big difference in terms of eligibility criteria. So if you have, say, scored somewhere around 58, 60%, you might not be eligible for a master's degree program itself, right? The other thing on eligibility basically comes through is many students have backlogs in their undergraduate courses, right? And a diploma allows you to have as many as even 8 backlogs versus degrees, master's degrees generally are capped at about 5 backlogs in total, right? Other than that, the number of gap years that you have. So gap years are essentially when was the last time you completed your education. So say you're going for a master's degree versus a PG diploma. And let's say you did your UG 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? So generally that 3, 4, 5 years is what is called as a gap year, right? So if you have more than 5 years of gap, you might not be able to get through a postgraduate diploma in most scenarios, right? Your number of options could reduce a lot. So typically you should not have more than 5 years of gap, right? If you have more than 5 years of gap, you might need to go hunt for a degree, because especially MBA degrees still allow you to have as high as 8 to 10 years of gap as well. And they're only offered by universities, right? So yeah, that is broadly on the eligibility bit, right? How diplomas and degrees differ. Okay. On the cost front, again, you would realize that diplomas tend to be cheaper in terms of tuition fee per annum versus degrees, right? So your diplomas go as low as even, sometimes 5-7 lakh rupees per annum, right? Whereas degrees on average would cost you somewhere between, 12 to 18, 20 lakh rupees per annum, depending on which university it is, right? So yeah, diplomas tend to be a lot more cost effective as well. But okay, I started this point around saying if you are looking to migrate and immigration is your primary motive, right, then you also need to consider the fact that diplomas give you typically 5 to 10 points lower on the immigration score that you get, right? So if you have to migrate to Canada, there is a comprehensive ranking system, a CRS points-based system, and you need to be above a certain threshold to be able to apply for your PR in Canada, right? And doing your education in Canada awards you some points towards the CRS score. And postgraduate diplomas give you about 5 to 10 points lower than degree programs, right? So yeah, however, diplomas can still be very, very helpful. So what you should do is, say if migration is your primary objective, you should go and take, there are a lot of these CRS calculators out there. Just find out your score and see how many points you're short. And if you can cover up for that shortage by just a postgraduate diploma, great. If you're not able to cover that, then you might have to probably look for a degree program, right? So it is a little subjective. I'll go dive a lot deeper into it as well in a minute, right? But if you were to think about your options, right? So when you say you've scored, say about 60%, for example, in your undergraduate program, then you have, a lot of postgraduate diploma options. Your master's degree options are out, and you can look at, options like a Humber College or an Algoma or a Centennial College, Conestoga, a Lambton College, a St. Lawrence College, and the likes, right? So a lot of these colleges open up which offer you postgraduate diplomas. But the moment say you've scored more than 60%, above 65%, a lot of universities open up for you as well, which offer you degree programs, right? Say universities like Crandall University, or a University of Waterloo, or University of Canada West, a University of Regina, and the likes, right? Just to clarify, it does not mean that there are not colleges out there. All colleges just have an entry requirement of less than 60%. There are colleges that have a higher entry requirement as well, right? So Sheridan College being one of them, for example. Seneca College, they both require more than 60% marks, right? So yeah, I'm just giving you broader directions on how do you differentiate between whether to go for a diploma or a master's, right? So I think just going deeper into the whole migration story, right? So if you're looking to say migrate to Canada, the way it works is there are multiple programs under which you can apply for migrating to Canada, right? There is a federal skills workers program. There is a Canadian Express experience class program, immigration program, and all these programs essentially offer you points based on based on skills that you have, your education, your language, which is your IELTS score, your work experience that you have, and some other factors as well. Now, what happens is if you have work experience in Canada, it gives you more points, right? And if you've studied in Canada, even if you have a job offer in Canada, plus you've studied in Canada, you get more points, right? So why am I discussing this right now is to let you know how do you decide on the duration of the program that you go for, right? So postgraduate diplomas, certificate courses are available from as low as even 6-8 months, going all the way up to 3-year programs, right? And how should you pick which one to go for, right? So as a thumb rule in Canada, the duration of your program is equivalent. So the duration of a program, if let's say it's 1 year, your postgraduate work permit, which is like your post-study work visa, will also be for 1 year. Similarly, if it's your program is for 8 months, your postgraduate work permit will be for 8 months, right? So typically we advise students to go for at least a 2-year program, because with 2 years, they're able to get 2 to 3 years of postgraduate work permit, right? So the moment you cross a 2-year threshold, 2-year threshold on the program duration, you will get 2 years to 3 years of postgraduate work permit. That gives you enough time and enough points to get your score, cross your score and get an immigration into Canada as well, right? However, you can be clever about it, and you can actually find out those points for yourself right now and plan your duration accordingly, right? So if you feel that with the 1-year program, you're able to get the number of points that you need, plus you get a job offer in hand, and all of that is good enough for you to get a PR, you can also time it and plan it accordingly. But as a thumb rule, we tell students to go for at least a 2-year program so that they have another 2 to 3 years to stay back after the program and then get their PR, right? Yes, so I think those would be some broad differences between how do you look at diplomas and how do you look at master's programs in Canada, right? I think just in terms of employability, I think that's another big question that people say, are folks with diplomas less or more employable than folks with degrees? And it actually, I would say both are equally valid in Canada as options, right? So it is not that an employer is going to favor you more if you have a degree or favor you less if you have a diploma. It is more about, you doing a diploma gives you a very specialized skill set to go into exactly that sort of industry. And an employer looking for that skill set would value you for having specialized in that skill set. Similarly, if you have a degree program, specifically degree programs in fields like business, science, and engineering tend to pay slightly more and are preferred. But if you were to look at other sort of streams, you would find diplomas would be much more specialized, and you would get more job opportunities in that specific range, in that specific field that you've specialized in, right? So I wouldn't say that, a diploma or a degree gives you any sort of difference in the kind of in your employability. It is just that the kind of opportunities would slightly differ, right? Um, yes. Apart from that, I think while we are also deep diving on the visa bit, so I spoke about in your comprehensive ranking system, one of the things that the visa folks look at is your skills, right? And your skills are defined by the NOC. It's the National Occupation Classification done by Canada, right? So what that means is skill type O or 0 is basically management jobs. And then you have skill type A, which is professional jobs that generally require degrees. And then skill type B is technical programs that are generally offered through college diplomas, right? And if you look at the federal skilled workers program or many other immigration types, all of them offer you points if you have skills in both type A, type B, or type 0, right? So what that means is type A is specifically skill set given by degrees, and type B is technical skill set that is given by diplomas, and both are offered points under the NOC, the National Occupation Classification of Canada, that contribute to your score, the comprehensive ranking system score, based on which you get your Canada PR. So yes, that also basically proves the fact that you don't necessarily have any difference in employability when it comes to doing a diploma versus a degree program. Yes, I think that's all from my side on what is the big differences between between university degrees and college diplomas. I'll probably take a minute to do a quick recap. Diplomas are specific technical skill sets. Degrees are more broader academic programs. Degrees are offered by universities generally, and diplomas are offered by colleges generally, right? And big difference is in eligibility criteria. Diplomas allow you to apply if you have more than 50 to 55% marks in your undergraduate programs, or say in class 12 for UG diplomas, whereas degrees only let degree programs eligibility starts only if you have about 65% plus marks in your UG degree or in your class 12 program for postgraduate degrees and bachelor programs specifically, right? Similarly, the number of backlogs that are allowed by diplomas are about 8 versus for degrees is about 5. Diplomas generally do not allow you gap years of more than 5 years, whereas degrees, specifically the MBA degree, still allows you to have gap years that are more than 5. Cost for diploma programs is specifically very low. It starts as low as 7 lakh rupees versus degrees, which are slightly expensive. You will find degree programs on average to be ranging between 12 lakhs to 20 lakh rupees or more, right? And yes, to recap, diplomas give you 5 to 10 points lower in your comprehensive ranking system score that is used for applying for your PR program, but that may not matter as such if you have a very solid profile. So I would urge you to not take that point directly, but rather go and calculate your CRS score and see whether a diploma would suit you and fulfill the requirement of the gap that you have as of this point of time. And yeah, I think that's all from my recap. I would log off. Thank you again for watching. See you again tomorrow, 6 p.m. for another episode of Leverage TV.